Hello everyone, my name's Peter Price and this is my story. I'm making this video because today I was diagnosed with Parkinson's disease and I would like to record my progress and hopefully encourage others who find themselves in this situation. Parkinson's disease, as you are probably aware, affects 1 to 2% of people in the world today. So it's relatively rare, although it's more common than other things like MS and a few other diseases. So I went to the neurologist today. I've been concerned about symptoms since about early July. I noticed I had a tremor in my right hand and now it's shaking more. My left hand is free, but my right hand, I can stop it, of course. That's one of the markers of Parkinson's. So I went down to the Gold Coast and saw a very, very good neurologist. I'm going to leave him a good review, 5 stars, Dr. Ian Maxwell. He's been doing this for a long time, about 40 years, he said. And so he really knows what he's doing, what he's looking at. And he concluded I had Parkinson's within a couple of minutes, I think. Just gave me a few things to do, walking and closing my eyes and holding my hands out. And he saw a number of different things. I've got a form for an MRI. And I was very pleased to find that he had a whole lot of information. He wrote handwritten notes for me about the disease and what it means and the prospects and so on. So I've got some reading to do and a bit more research. I've watched a lot of videos on YouTube, read a lot of articles. A lot of the advice is consistent, which leads me to believe that it's probably true, but some of it's a little bit out there. And Dr. Maxwell said, there's so much rubbish on the internet, which I expect. And he said, don't believe it, it's all rubbish. Well, not everything, but there is a lot of rubbish out there, and so he was basically saying be careful what you read and what you watch, which I already realised. So it's, as you would be aware, it's a degenerative neurological condition. On a positive note, and almost the first thing the neurologist said to me is it can be treated. And he said, I treat patients for 20 years. So I think, that's good. I'm 61 now, turning 62 in a couple of months. So another 20 years would be great. It says 20 plus years, in fact, on my little piece of paper. So I'll be pleased to have another 20 years at least. But how does it feel? He talked to me about loss and grief and the fact that being diagnosed with Parkinson's can often lead to grief, and from some research into grief, from what it produces, I think it says Kubler-Ross, who was a psychologist, studied grief and discovered the 5 basic phases of grief, which I'd heard of before, so you have probably also. First being anger, the second denial, the third bargaining, in other words saying, well, I've been a good person because the example he used was I've eaten all my broccoli. The fourth is depression, and the fifth is acceptance. And so the first 4 phases are all negative, and the fifth is accepting what you've got and being at peace, I suppose. I feel, before I had the diagnosis, I've been living with the symptoms, as I said, for around about 2 months. And I've been suspicious from the first time I noticed. I guess most people would be. Your hand starts shaking, oh my goodness, it's Parkinson's. But the more I read and the more I watched, the more I thought, that's probably what it is. It's consistent. An essential tremor which has similar symptoms isn't the same, and there are distinguishing markers. For example, this is a resting tremor. If I do something with it, if I hold my fist or pick up something, it doesn't tremor. But if I'm doing something with this hand, The right hand will often, I can't make it do it, but it'll do that, and it'll start tremoring. That's one of the signs. So I've been suspicious that it possibly was Parkinson's, and I thought, crap, that's not what I wanted. I've got 3 grown children and 4 very young grandchildren, and I want to be around them. I want to be at my granddaughters' weddings and share their lives with them. So I don't welcome the disease. I'm not looking for some sort of validation through being sick or anything like that. But if I do have it, I do have it. Wishing it away won't change anything. And going through the list, being angry doesn't help. It'll just upset the people around me. Being in denial doesn't really work if you're sure you've got it. As an aside, one of the things I really wanted, and I prayed about it beforehand, was I really wanted to know after today's meeting, which I've been waiting for some time, what I really wanted was a definite diagnosis. I wanted the neurologist to be able to say, either you do have it or you don't have it, or you have something else. If it's essential tremor, let's deal with that. If it's multiple sclerosis, or I don't even know what the symptoms are, but if it had been some other medical condition, I would want to know that, and the sooner the better. There's no good me going through life shaking like this and not finding out and wishing something else was the truth. So I wanted to know. So I'm very pleased that I have had that diagnosis, and that Dr. Maxwell is a very good neurologist and knows what he's talking about. Bargaining doesn't help. The fact that I might have been a good person in some areas of my life doesn't mean that I shouldn't therefore have a sickness. I'm not sick because I deserve it. I guess that's a common reaction, to think, why me? It's not fair. But as the saying goes, life isn't fair, and it doesn't change because we wish it was different. I think wishful thinking is a little bit non-productive. Anyway, that's that one. The 4th is depression, and I can see that would be a common response to grief of any kind. To lose someone, I mean, if it's grief in the sense of having lost a loved one, then getting depressed about it must be something that many, many people have to face. And I don't mean to diminish the seriousness of any of these responses, but I had decided that I didn't want to get depressed because I don't want to inflict that feeling of utter sadness and defeatism and just feeling negative all the time onto my family, my wife, my children, my grandchildren, my friends, anybody who knows me. There's no point getting mad about it or being depressed. And so without really, I didn't consciously think, well, I just have to accept it. But I realised as Dr. Maxwell talked to me this morning, I'd already reached the point where I felt in myself, if that's what I've got, then that is what I've got. If the medical science says that is my condition, then I should accept it. So I'm not trying to be overly introspective here, but I do want to encourage anyone else who's in the situation of not knowing what's happening or who has just recently been diagnosed. This is just my story. So this is what I've decided to do, and I find it helps me. Now, I'm very early in this. It's literally just, 4 hours since I've been diagnosed. And I have yet to tell the rest of my family, my parents, my brothers and sisters in the UK, my 3 children who are all in different parts of the world at the moment. I've yet to tell them, but I'm feeling relatively positive and upbeat. That may sound like a contradiction. And the other thing to say here is I'm not trying to blow my own trumpet or boast, or I'm not trying to sell you anything, that's for sure. but this is the decision I made, and I find that at this stage it's helping. If I feel depressed or angry or want to bargain with things, I may make another video and tell you what I really think. But for now, I'm relatively at peace. On the positive note, Dr. Maxwell said that of all the diseases you could have, this is the only neurological disease or condition that we can treat, or that doctors can treat. So it benefits from having a history of study going back to the 1800s. He pointed me to a paper which I'll look up, and assuming I find it, I'll put links to things in the description below this video on YouTube or wherever I post it. But there's a paper from the 1800s called The Shaking Palsy, and that would be around 200 years ago. Better get my maths right. So it's had a fair bit of history. There's millions of dollars being poured into research into the disease and researching treatments and therapies. The Michael J. Fox Foundation, of course, is well known in the field, and they are raising money. If you feel like giving money to anybody, that would be a good charity to donate to. But to know that treatments are available, and apparently they're very effective. We know that it's degenerative. We know, therefore, it gets worse over time. And so the treatments become less and less effective. That's something to be faced. But of all the diseases that you could get, it's not the worst. Apparently, if you're diagnosed with motor neurone disease, and I barely know what that is apart from its name, Dr. Maxwell said you get 3 years, and that's how long you can expect to live. So he said if a patient does have that, he writes them a certificate to give to their insurer to say pay out the insurance policy because this person's going to die. And that way the patient gets access to the money, the insurance payout, which is small compensation for knowing you've only got 3 years to live. But being told you've got 20 plus years, and there are things that you can do to help. One of the main ones is exercise, which I'd already decided that was a good thing if I do, even if I don't have it. If I do have it or I don't have it, exercise is a good thing. So apparently it is a very good thing for Parkinson's. So I don't want to make this a long video. I think I probably said enough for now. I am going to post this on YouTube and probably Facebook and just share it. If nobody watches it, well, maybe I won't make any more videos, but chances are the way YouTube and videos go nowadays, somebody will watch it. And if you find this encouraging, please let me know, because that'll encourage me. If you find it hard to watch, or you hate it, or please leave a comment. By all means, give it a thumbs down, but it will help me to know why you didn't like it. I know I'm speaking quietly, and that's one of the signs of Parkinson's. I'm not wearing a microphone today, so I'm just talking to my iPhone on a tripod. So hopefully it will be good enough to hear what I'm saying. Hopefully I will go ahead and do more videos in the future. But for now, this one is finished. So thanks for watching. Well, that's it for this video. Thank you for watching. I hope you found it useful in some way, an encouragement, or just to... I appreciate you listening to my story. I don't really know what to say. I made this partly as a personal diary, just so I've got a record of where I'm up to at this point, but also for my family, who many of whom live overseas, and so I'd like them to see that I'm okay and things are going along reasonably well under the circumstances. Anyway, I'm going to start a YouTube channel for this. I don't know when I might post another video. We'll see how things go, but if you are interested, then feel free to subscribe to this little channel, and I'll see how things go. And I do plan to do some more videos. We'll see how things go. But for now, that's all I've got to say. So thanks again for watching, and hopefully I'll see you again soon.